So this session, we're going to start talking a little bit about why we engage, and then we're going to share 4 different umbrellas of engagement that we offer at UC San Diego, and my wonderful volunteers are going to talk a lot about their personal relationship with UC San Diego and how they made that happen after graduating. I am going to start with Hamna, who is one of our more recent grads. I asked her to open the session and talk a little bit about what it was like transitioning from student to engaged alumni in a short amount of time.
So, yes, I graduated in 2018, and when I was a student, I was involved in so many different things. I was in many different student orgs. I hosted hackathons. I hosted conferences for my department. I was constantly working with so many different students and faculty to put on events because I really cared about giving back to my engineering community. And so when I graduated, I knew that being away from university, I won't have that same community that I had while I was in school, and I didn't want to lose touch of that. So I did stay connected with my department, and whenever they would have alumni get together, I would want to be a part of that and just kind of sit in and see what they're talking about and what they care about, and seeing how I can broaden what I can do now with the larger community.
Now talking about why we're re-engaging today, engagement is really a two-way street. It's your relationship with the university, and it's also, I guess, our relationship with you. How can we provide you value, and how can you provide us value? And when I say you providing us value, it may sound a little intimidating, but it's really for the benefit of the university as a whole and our students. As you guys know, we have so many amazing alumni out there, over 200,000, and we have so many students who need these opportunities, and whether it's mentoring, whether it's support. If you were in the earlier session, they talked a lot about alternative break support, but whether it's just learning about alumni and their careers is really beneficial, and we've at Alumni created a lot of programs focused around those areas. So the first area we want to talk about is events. I wanted to start talking about our signature weekends. So the Triton Leaders Conference, which you are at right now, is one of our signature alumni weekends. The purpose of this weekend is to, again, bring alumni back to campus and for us to hopefully provide you value as our volunteers, our alumni seeking any interest in getting re-engaged and in personal and professional development. And later today we have our first ever women's forum, our Triton Women's Who Lead, which is going to be a great panel and keynote. Our prior signature weekend was homecoming. Hopefully some of you made it out. That's all about bringing alumni back to campus. And then the next weekend is coming up, which is May 15th through 17th, is the Alumni Celebration Weekend, which is focused on celebrating our alumni, as cheesy as that sounds, but that's when we announce our Alumni Award recipients. And we really have a ton of fun activities to highlight the great things that our alumni are doing. We also have regional clubs in a ton of different areas, as Colette would know, and over 30 regions. And we're also starting to have ambassadors in those cities that we don't have a ton of alumni in, but we have some active alumni who really want to be that point of contact to bring UC San Diego alumni together. We also have, as a lot of you know, the Triton 5K, which is now moving to fall and homecoming weekend. That's a great opportunity for us to not only benefit scholarships, but also invite the community to campus, the San Diego community, to also benefit scholarships, but just to see this campus that we often keep closed off. And of course, academic departments also have events, which segues me to pass the microphone to Vinay to talk a little bit about his experience with events.
Thank you, Morgan, for involving me in this. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about events is I think there's really 2 sides to it. I think there's the professional side of it with getting your colleagues and other friends at work involved with what's going on with UCSD. One of the reasons I decided to come back was because I think the reason I'm here today, both in my professional career as well as my personal life, is because of what UCSD was able to provide. And I think that's the reason a lot of us want to give back to this campus and be able to get more people to come back to the campus after they graduate. So I've had the opportunities to come recruit more UCSD grads back to the company, as well as, just talk to a lot of my friends and just say, hey, there's a lot of stuff going on around the Bay Area and even in other parts of the US. We really need to go back and be engaged. And when we go and talk to these people, they're like, well, I didn't even realize that this was happening. So that's part of the reason I tried to highlight some of the events and things like that. For those of us that love sports, homecoming is always a great one. Come back. Side note, like, UCSD basketball was on ESPN3 last week. I was in San Francisco watching this game, and I was just texted a bunch of people. I'm like, hey, get on ESPN3. Let's go watch this thing. So I think there's a lot of great events. It's just about understanding what appeals to people and then being able to go and target those events to specific people. I do this at work, and I think we should all just be able to go and talk to our colleagues and friends and say, hey, let's go support UCSD and bring us to where all the other schools are.
The next area that we have for engagement is volunteering your time. And there's a lot of different ways to do this and a lot of different programs. We understand that everyone is in different phases of their life. Sometimes you can give 2 hours and sometimes you can give 2 weeks. And so there's really a bunch of opportunities for all different areas. I'll start with, as I mentioned before, we've revamped the reunion program. So we are currently and always looking for volunteers. There's boards and councils. We do have a gold council, our gold steering committee, which is where I source these amazing volunteers. This month is service month for the clubs, and all the clubs are leading a great service event in their area. And that's an easy opportunity for alumni to just go and volunteer a few hours once a year, or maybe that will lead them to get more involved. It's really about your personal relationship and what works for you. And then Take a Triton to Work, which is a great new program that we started, which is also essentially a one-time mentorship opportunity where students, while they're on spring break or Christmas break, will come to you at your work or meet you for coffee to really gain that career advice from an alumni perspective. And our spring break program is launching in about a week, and it's the week of March 23rd, in case anyone's interested.
So I'm also, I serve as the president of the EC Alumni Advisory Board, which is under the Jacobs School of Engineering. And for my advisory board, we are just a group of alumni who, most of us live in Southern California or in San Diego, and we want to give back to our particular department. And so for us, we realized we can host some events to connect alumni back to the university. And the ones that have been the most successful for us are the ones that involve faculty, the students, and the alumni all together, because collectively that's our entire community. And what we've done is we actually just hosted this reunion. So that's a picture from a reunion from just a few weeks back. And we had a great turnout of so many different alums who have never attended any ECE related alumni event. And so many of them want to be engaged. They want to connect back. And being able to do that is incredible just from being involved with this advisory board. And we get to hear the needs of students. And so many of our student orgs, they ask us for advice to host workshops and events. And, they really want resources, they want mentorship, and we can give that to them because we had our own, diverse experiences while we were students as well. So through the advisory board, specifically for our department, it's allowed us to understand what the department focuses on and how we can give back our own perspectives while we were students or now that we're alumni and professionals in industry. So I genuinely enjoy my experience with it. I love the alumni I get to work with, and all of us are so passionate about UCSD and the ECE department in particular. So being able to serve our community has been so meaningful for me so far, and I know that that kind of support will always stay with me.
And our next area of engagement is philanthropy, which Alex will talk a little bit more about. But there are a lot of different opportunities to give back financially. And there are a couple misconceptions about philanthropy on campus. One is that you just can only give to a black hole fund. False. There are hundreds of different funds, and you can deem what fund you're most passionate about and put your gift there. And your gift will stay there. It's, I think a lot of people just picture you can only give to scholarships, but there's so many different areas. And then another huge way is Giving Day. We just started Giving Day last year for the first time. We expected to hopefully get 2,500 gifts, and we ended up getting 3,500, which was crazy and amazing, and it was a lot of thanks to our alumni and our awesome students and community members. And really, Giving Day is more about awareness. And again, Alex will talk a little bit more about that. Another area is CrowdSurf. That's really our crowdfunding platform. Another thing that we hear is that it's hard to see where your money goes. And CrowdSurf and crowdfunding is probably the easiest way to really see where your impact is going, especially when, you know, you're not making gifts of millions of dollars like many of us can't. And then lastly is our Chancellor's Associates Gold levels. We do have a new program in partnership with Chancellor's Associates, which is a donor group on campus. And we have special gold levels, which are lower than the general membership level, to really recognize that our younger alumni, you know, can't usually make those higher gifts. So if someone is still interested at the, you know, at the younger age, we want to appreciate that and recognize them at the same level as someone who's much farther down their career path and has more financial possibilities. Now I'm going to pass it to Alex to talk a little bit about her experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Morgan. So I'm excited to be here. So I graduated from Scripps Institution of Oceanography in '09. So I'm kind of right on that cusp of actually still being in gold. But I think the biggest thing for me as a student that was impactful was having a lot of support. So I think something that really caught my attention yesterday at the conference was that UCSD is lacking in about $200 million for student scholarships. And so just the idea that it's already hard enough, we all know that UCSD is very rigorous, whether you're an undergraduate or a graduate student. And so to be constantly worrying about funding is a huge issue. So I think that that's become a new motivation for me. And I am obviously very passionate about Scripps and the ocean. So this year was my first time participating in Giving Day. And so my funding went to the Birch Aquarium, which is something that I'm actually very happy to support. But moving forward, I think I'm going to start to kind of branch out so that I can do a little bit more with student support as well. So that being said, another big thing that kind of stood out to me was this idea that gifts under $50 are some of the largest in number. So whether you can give $5, $50, $100, everything makes an impact. So for me personally, being in the workforce for about a decade at this point, I still have to annually budget how much money can I actually give to different, whether it's UCSD or the Humane Society or something of that nature. So I actively do budget that monthly and then annually, and I keep track of how much I can give, and when I get a little extra money in, I actually do decide to donate. So I think it can be really impactful, not just at a high level if you can, even at the low level, it's very important. So.
And our last area is being a champion in your community and your company. I'm sure a lot of you already are, and we greatly appreciate that. But here are some of the ways that you can continue to be or start. Hiring our students and alumni. You can post jobs on Handshake for internships for students, for entry-level jobs for students. And for alumni, one of the best places to post jobs now is Triton's Connect, which is our new alumni platform and directory. And most of those jobs are focused a little bit more on right after entry level. And Handshake is more for the entry level. And all our students use Handshake for career events, again, applying to jobs, internships, and online or different opportunities on campus.
So let's wind back the clock, not quite far to 1969, around 2014, so like 6 years. This is when I was a student. I was interested in starting a company. I had an idea for using modern virtual reality tools like Oculus Rift in order to get hands-on with molecules and be a better nanoengineer. So my major was nanoengineering. I really wanted this tool, but I couldn't put it together myself. And so, the campus here, it's really an amazing sandbox. If you have an idea, like no one's going to tell you, no, you can't do that. They might say, no, I can't help you, but then you could, find other people to help. So we started, working on different parts of the campus, getting different students together. I actually started my own intern class while I was still a student. And so we were giving them course credit so that they could help out with this project. And then, I graduated, but we continued that. We continued taking on interns. Those interns became employees. And so then, that was our first batch of employees as a company. And then, what did we do next? We keep hiring interns and seeing if they work out. And it really created this great talent pipeline. And a great thing about UCSD, it's so interconnected. And the skills that we need as a company, I don't need a benchtop chemist. Like, I need someone that understands computer science, chemistry, a little bit of psychology with like cognitive science and user experience design. Like, there's so many elements that are just, multi-parameter optimizations that UCSD students are actually really good at, because we're all talking with each other and we are learning different areas. And if we're in MIR, we're taking GEs that are a bit different than our major. I ended up taking a few theater classes actually as part of my GEs. I think that ended up helping me later on in life. And so there's these really great students that are currently at UCSD, students that have graduated pretty recently, that are just amazing to hire. So I've been very satisfied. Pretty much like 95% of our company is UCSD at this point. It's just our CFO went to UC Santa Barbara and USC for his MBA. Other than that, I think pretty much everybody else went to UCSD. Very different majors though. And so we have everything from mathematics and computer science to cognitive science. Myself, I'm a nanoengineer. And really that diversity of the skills that UCSD employees have has been amazing. And internships, we're constantly giving them out. We go to the career fairs. I don't know if we're on both of these. I thought that handshake had replaced it, but we'll be on both of them. We're on at least one of them, and I've been on the other in the past. So we're constantly looking for these new opportunities, new internships. And it's great because interns can be relatively cheap or free, and the students are actually extremely appreciative of that. It's not that you need to have a perfect Google-like internship with like housing at your company and like free meals all the time. The students really appreciate just any hands-on work that they get to do in the industry that they're interested in before they actually enter. And this is really important for just building a healthy alumni community, getting alumni engaged with current students, and really building out that network. So, from our early days of getting started on campus, working with the basement, other resources, we've been doing it. A few other startups have kind of done similar models where they take on a bunch of interns, eventually transition them to employees and start up a company. And so it's a just really great place to be in terms of talent acquisition. And you could build companies with just a few UCSD people. Like, it works, there's a model, we need to keep doing that.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing your personal stories. I hope this inspired some of you to think about what your own relationship will be. That was really the goal of this session. We do have some follow-up contacts for you if you have any questions. On Giving Day, the ambassador form to sign up is actually already live for our 2020 Giving Day, but you can also email me. So thank you for joining us.